This is outstanding. I could ask a lot more questions, but I want to give a moment or two for some of you in the audience to have a chance to ask some questions here.
So like, I don't know about everyone else, but when I don't have internet access, I go through withdrawal. And I can't even imagine what it would be like if you completely cut off in prison. So I'm curious what your opinions are as to whether or not internet access is all right.
If it's all right in prison?
Oh, if it's
a right.
Right.
Well, you know, I think it's a part of education for the prison system, because I think there's this trepidation about communication. You know, I'm going to run my business, or I'm going to, you know, have communication with, you know, that bad element, whatever. I'm going to hack into something or whatever. I think part of what we're doing is educating them, because now they don't really even understand the idea of firewalls and limited access and all this kind of stuff. So is it a right? I think so, if we monitor it properly so it's not misused. I mean, in federal prison, you know, the weird thing is that all states are different. Federal is different than state. So there's a guy named Michael Harris who's in transition from San Quentin going through the federal prison. I actually have email communication with him, because in federal prison you can have email communication.
But you pay for every message.
You pay for it, and it's also monitored, but you can have email. In state prison you can't. So there's not a uniformity, but I think it's a right if it is monitored properly.
Well, one thing I would like to add is that CDCR is the California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation. And I believe that being on the internet and understanding what that's all about is part of rehabilitation, because there are so many forces against anyone who's leaving prison after a period of time, let alone having to start to understand what's really happening in the world of communications and how people do research. And, you know, your libraries, do you have books in your libraries? No, it's pretty much all electronic, whereas in their library, they actually go and check out books. So it's a way to actually rehabilitate and to give them a chance when they get out. In fact, Ray made a comment last week when he was at the interview, the company he's interviewing with, and he actually felt like he fit in because he knew what they were talking about. He did research certainly in advance, and we helped tutor him, but he felt like he fit in. He wasn't an outcast, and that's a big deal in giving someone confidence so that they can move forward with their life.
What sort of resistance have you had?
Good question.
The resistance has been, it's been so positive. The biggest resistance, and again, it sort of dovetails on what I was just saying from the Department of Corrections about, you know, going someplace they've never gone before. You know, the whole idea of social media blew their minds when I asked them to do that. They're like, no way. And we started slowly. We started just tweeting. The guys don't have access, so we actually produced something called tweet sheets. It's 140 character blocks where they actually fill them in, and then we have interns that'll upload the tweets. So that's how we started. And they said, well, we have to read everything. So after about 2 weeks, things started piling up. They said, no, we can't do this anymore. You do it. But don't screw up. That was 2 years ago. Today, we've had thousands of tweets, hundreds of articles and posts, and a lot of stuff's been distributed all over the world, Wall Street Journal, Huffington Post. Now the Department of Corrections thinks it's a great idea. But at first, they thought it was a really bad idea. So that's an example of just being patient and walking through the process and educating them, because we're asking them to continue to step out. You know, we film sessions. So we film twice a month. We take cameras in. That freaked them out, too. But, you know, they're trusting us that this stuff's not going to show up on YouTube without permission. Like, it took a lot to do this video, right? So it's just education. It's less about resistance, just about informing, I think.
But I'd like to add that in terms of resistance, the reaction I get from most people when I tell them about our program is identical to mine. They don't know they don't know anything about the prison system, and they've never had a first-hand experience. Like, why would you want to be in prison? Or why would you want to even go there? Those people are murderers, and they're in they're lifers, and like, why put your energy there? And when I go through the same process with them that I went through to explain really what it's all about, then they raise their hand and ask how they can help. So it's about education.
So one more question. Take it right here.
Thank you.
I think it's really just finding the right opportunity or making the opportunity. In this case, we're hopefully going to provide an opportunity for you to be involved. You know, it's sort of like anything else. I feel like sometimes I'm a right tackle where I'm blocking and, you know, taking a lot of the heat for the running back to come through. And so we're taking the heat, making that available. So we're going to have several programs here in Michigan, starting in Jackson. I think if you're interested, you know, we'll provide information about how you get involved. And just spreading awareness, reading what these guys write, commenting on it. Go to Quora, see what they're doing, and give them positive feedback. The best thing you can do is provide feedback to make them realize that what they're saying is actually reaching out and making a difference.
Our time is always so brief here. I feel like we could go on for another half an hour at least. But I know you have a video that
Yep.
you're going to share with us, and I want to give you both a chance to share some final thoughts with us before we leave.
Thank you. So I guess what I would say is that every time I go into San Quentin and I meet the men and we run a session or program, I am so inspired by them. And I truly hope that by sharing our story today, the men become an inspiration to you too. And I look forward to seeing you when we start our program here in Michigan, come into Jackson or Huron with us and meet those people, and so that they can become an inspiration to you as well.
So I brought some words from one of the men to share with you. And he was in the video, Kenyatta Leal. His business that he created was called Coach Potato. He's a huge football fan, and so this is, I won't go into the detail of what it is, but it's a mobile app and it's around football. And he hopefully will be getting out here soon. He's done phenomenal work to get where he is, and he's actually one of the guiding lights to start the program in San Quentin. And he's a huge Michigan fan. So he wanted me to share something with you today. He said, I have many goals, but one of my goals in life is to walk out of the big house in San Quentin and walk through the tunnel of the big house at the University of Michigan. Go Blue.